All right, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, whatever it is. Hey, I wanted to go ahead and go with the lesson that you're supposed to be having right now. I'm sorry that I am not here with you, but we're going to go ahead and get through the next few bits of this with the substitute, with what's online, so that way we keep up. Just things that we'll have to get through. So let's go ahead and move over to the whiteboard here. And everything we're doing is on Canvas. So it'd be really simple. It's the safety test. We talked about it real quick last time we met, but let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, so same thing. We're just going to go to Canvas. Okay, so everything in my Canvas, how I build it, is always module based, and hopefully most of the teachers are doing this as well. So right now we're under our first module. Okay, how to get to it? We can just go right there. Okay, this was our test book testing. It was just to see if you guys remember to do it. It is pointed, so what will happen is that will turn into 10 points for you, so it's not a big deal, but it's 10 extra credit points in 2 weeks if you get it done, but it will lock out on Monday, okay? But let's go ahead and go right here. So we have the BHS safety lessons, and then we have the safety test. So we click on the safety test. Now this will look different after we go here, because obviously I'm the teacher side. So I just got to go right here and get started on the module. Oops, not there. Whoops. Let me get into it. There we go. Okay, so here is the safety test. Now, once again, you have to get 100% on this safety test, but you have unlimited tries. There is a trick to that. You have to email me each time you have to get the test reset. Because I lose track, or not I, there's no track of how many times I have to have it reset. So this is that. Not that it's a bad thing, it just helps me keep record of where people are. Because you can go, hey, Arndt, I need that reset as you're walking out of class. I'll forget. Email me, then I have record. Okay, so that makes it a lot easier for everything we need to do. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over this. Let's go through the lessons on here. I'm gonna go ahead and click on this so we just get a nice view. So what is the purpose of these covers? Okay, so we have a fender cover, we have a steering wheel cover, floor covers. They're there to protect the car from mechanics, right? So a mechanic would be greasy. So this is an opportunity to make sure that grease and grime and oils don't transfer to the customer's car, okay? I lost my advance button. Okay, PPEs. Those are important things, okay? Okay, the next slide is PPEs, personal protective equipment. This personal protective equipment is there to protect you, but it doesn't eliminate all risks, okay? So just because you're wearing your safety glasses, you could still have debris thrown at you, especially liquids. That's why you would wear goggles versus safety glasses if you're dealing with chemicals. So when you go use the parts wash, you're gonna make sure you have goggles. We have them over there. If you're grinding, you're gonna use a face shield in addition to safety glasses. You're going to use a welding helmet to protect your eyes against the bright lights, not the radiation. There's no radiation per se that it's going to protect you from, okay? You're going to wear different gloves for various things. You're going to use a chemical resistant glove for dealing with chemicals. You're going to wear a welding glove to protect you against sharp objects and hot objects. But it's not going to stop electricity from flowing, even though welding is electrical, but you can still get electrocuted, okay? So make sure that you have the right PPE, personal protective equipment, for what you are doing, okay? So, no, we're gonna have to close there each time. Okay, safety glasses, talked about that. Footwear, let's go over what is a good footwear on this situation. The first thing is you wanna make sure that you're wearing something that's comfortable, because you're gonna be on your feet all day. The next thing you wanna make sure is you're wearing closed-toed shoes, preferably steel-toed, okay? That way your feet are truly protected. In the high school shop class here, closed-toed is the minimal, okay? Obviously, better is better. Your feet. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, gloves again. We're going to talk about those. Okay, respirators. Now, this is an important thing that you should be aware of when it comes to that. Now, especially coming off of COVID-19, we all understand about the importance of filtration, I guess you would say, hence why we wore face masks that year we came back to school. Now, what is important about a face mask? Well, the first thing is the face mask has a limited use to it. You can't just keep using it. A lot of the cloth ones that were used had to be washed. Same thing, if we're having a filter cartridge system, such as the ones that you see here, they are limited. In addition to that, it also depends on how many chemicals are in the air. So if you're in a very dusty, grimy area where you're doing a lot of grinding, that is going to cause some situations where that filter is going to eliminate its ability over time. But nothing about finances. You know, you want to buy the best there is. You know, it's your lungs. So the next thing I want to talk about, let's see here. Okay, safety insignia. We'll go over some more of these things, but this one, and blue is all about information. So what do you see in the picture of that information? Oh, all right, well, we see safety glasses. I see headphones, or I might see respirator. Blue is about information, meaning that it is mandatory. Okay, some of the other safety signs that you might see are danger signs, which are generally in a triangle, such as this one here, which is high voltage, okay? So if you see something like that, that means there is risk of being electrocuted, okay? Now, if somebody is being electrocuted, it doesn't mean that you're gonna come up and grab that person and pull them off. No, you gotta, one, there's something called a shepherd's hook, which will be introduced later on, but the best thing to do is to clear the area and try to kill, or it's a bad word to use, stop the electrical voltage going to such things. Okay, most of the reasons, that's why we have breakers, fuses in cars. That is to stop the flow of electricity when something goes bad. Okay, so these are warning signs. In addition to that, we also have other warning signs, which are in a pictogram like this or like this. Most of these are talking about corrosive materials, hence why you see it burning through materials, burning through hands. So that way, if you see this on a bottle for cleaners, you know that cleaner, you should be wearing gloves. Hence bleach. If you look at bleach, you will see a corrosive symbol on there because it is not good for your skin. Same with the hand wash, or not the hand wash station, but the parts washer. You have to wear a very specific chemical resistant glove for that. Okay, another one, this is talking about fire. So we want to make sure that we're safe in that situations, that we know that this is a flammable liquid that we store in a flammable cabinet. A flammable cabinet's a big yellow cabinet that we keep all the flammable chemicals in there. So if there's any issues, it is protected. Okay, explosives. Best situation is, you'll see this like don't crush, don't smash. You'll see this over in our parts hydraulic press. That way you make sure that when you're compressing something that a lot of times you're trying to push out a bearing housing or something like that, that can explode. So those are kind of concerns that you would see in that situation, okay? Talking about fire extinguishers. Now we talked about this real quick in the first day, but a fire extinguisher, once again, is rated in various types based on the fire that you're gonna have. So a Class A fire needs a Class A fire extinguisher, which is generally water, because a Class A fire is paper. Okay, so like a campfire would be a Class A fire. You would use water to put it out. Hence why if you read what it has right here, this is a Class AB, it's a foam agent, okay? A Class B is a liquid fire, like gasoline, oil, okay? So that's why it has a foam versus just water, because if you pour water onto a gasoline fire, it just spreads faster because then the liquid, the flammable liquid just disperses, okay? And then the C is a electrical fire. So you don't want to put a water or a foam onto an electrical fire because now you just made this conductive material spread all over the place. Hence why it is a powder setup, okay? So, and a fire extinguisher that you want to have, just like the ones here in the shop, is an A, B, C. So that way it protects you in all types of fires generally. Now, if we have, we do have two vehicles that use lithium batteries. We have the Prius and a Tesla. You would use a Class D fire extinguisher for those. And there's various setups for that in situations, but let's not dive into that or the conspiracies of it. Okay, fire location, that's what some of these emblems are going to talk about. Okay, the biggest thing about fire is, so we talked about it on the first day, if we have a fire in the shop, try to put it out. But if we have to evacuate, we want to make sure that all the doors and windows are closed. If the room starts filling with smoke before we can get out, you're going to get to the floor. Don't use an elevator. You probably should learn that back in elementary school. Okay, and go to the gathering place. Okay, those are important things you need to take care of. All right, floor jacks. Always use a floor jack with a jack stand. Okay, now a floor jack is a hydraulic tool, meaning it has hydraulic fluids like blood in there. And as you pump the handle, the pad's going to go up, okay? But they can develop leaks. Just like we get a cut, we get an external leak. The hydraulic jack can get an external leak, and you'll see that. Now, if it's leaking externally, that means that jack is no good. Okay, now, it also has internal seals, like our heart has the pumps and has seals that can go bad. Well, the same thing with the floor jack. The internal seals can go bad. And if it's, and you can't see an internal leak, but you'll know it because it will slowly descend without any control. Once again, it's a bad jack. Get rid of it. Don't ever use questionable safety equipment, okay? It cannot have a vapor lock. It's not a gas system like an old gasoline car. One of the most important things for a floor jack or a bottle jack or car lifts, it's there to be used how the manufacturer told you to, so that you are safe as well as the equipment is safe and the vehicle is safe. So make sure that you understand how to operate each one of those pieces of equipment, and we'll go through each of those. And we're just going through these real quick here. Okay, I'm going to go back one. Let's talk about lifts. So we put a car up on a lift. Well, why? Why did we put it on the lift? Well, so we can work under it. Okay, we're not going to put a car on the lift and then work inside the engine bay or work inside and change a radio. No, it's if we got to take the tires off or do the brakes or do an oil change or change the exhaust. We lift the car so we can work under it. Okay. Okay, what is the purpose of a crane? So here we see an engine hoist or an engine crane. Okay, we have one of these. We also have some other cranes that we use in our shop, but the objective is to lift really heavy objects so that we're not having to protect our backs, protect us, and to help you move the item. Now, you don't work on an engine hanging from a jack because it's just precariously hanging from a chain or a cable, but it's just there so you can take it out of a vehicle, install it in a vehicle, or move it, but not to use to work from, okay? Okay, now we're doing some service on the vehicle, so let's go with dyno. We're gonna dyno a car. Well, how do we prevent the car from moving? Because we're gonna put it up on rolling, the front wheel, so we'll have a front wheel drive vehicle. The front wheels are gonna be spinning to push the car or pull the car forward. Well, how do we stop it? Just in case it launches off. Well, you can use wheel chocks or wheel wedges, as they call it here in the site, but you can also strap it down. It's just like if you would put the car on a trailer, you're going to strap it down. So those are ways that you can do it. You're not going to take the wheels off of a car that you're going to do some service like that, okay? You put a car on the trailer to prevent it from moving, you're going to take the wheels off? No, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, pneumatic tools and electric tools. So something important about extension cords. We use extension cords all the time here, but we do not hang the extension cord from one point to another point because you can get clotheslined from it. It can get caught up in equipment. So you're going to lay it on the floor. You're not going to use an extension cord that has been patched because now you can have loss of electricity, especially in the winter. Our shop floors are generally wet, and we don't want to risk electrical shock just because we didn't want to go and get the right extension cord. So always make sure your equipment is safe to use. Okay? Some important things about pneumatic tools. You're always going to make sure that the connection is 100%, that you got it on there tight. Other thing, you're going to do daily service. Every time you take out an air tool in the shop here, we always put a little bit of oil down the tube. And we'll show you about that in the coming weeks. Okay? Here's those safety signs I was talking about. They're all in blue. They're all letting you know about something that's important to be aware of. Okay? Respirator, face shield, uniforms. Uniforms are required in the shop. We have one sitting right here for you, or you can bring in your own. I am wearing an alternative uniform that you can have in the shop. Okay? Safety glasses, apron, hard hats, information books, shoes, safety vest, and on and on. Be aware of what those signs mean, okay? You'll start seeing them actually on the doors to the lab area because we are required to post those. So they're going to be coming out real soon. Carbon monoxide. We talked about this several times, and I know hopefully you've remembered this. Carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas. It is a byproduct of combustion. It is odorless, it is tasteless, and you can't see it. Everything else you smell, you see, that's a different product out of the engine. But carbon monoxide is very dangerous. That's why we have a ventilation system in here. I have the sensors, but if you start feeling lightheaded because you might be more sensitive to it than I am, you better let me know and get you to fresh air, okay? Be aware of it. You are in charge of your safety. I'm here to train you. Okay? What about tires and batteries? What do we do with them? Well, we recycle them, okay? Even when I was talking about when they put them down and made artificial reefs out of tires, that is a form of recycling. We're going to dispose of them the proper way. We don't just chuck them in a field or buried in the ground. We do the right thing, okay? If we don't do the right thing, we're not going to have anything left. Okay, we're moving along. All right, MSDS. You guys remember this? We talked about motor oil. Motor oil can be poisonous to you if you consume it. We talked about a little bit about what the details on that. But where do you find it? Well, where do you find it in this shop? And what is important about it? Well, it's always going to tell you the first aid. It's going to tell you what the chemical's made up. It's going to tell you the manufacturer of the chemical. Okay, but it's not going to tell you the cost. How does a sheet that's printed maybe 7 years ago that still has the same chemical information going to be relevant in price? So it's there for your safety, chemical, and company information, okay? Health to the environment, health to you, and what to do for first aid, which is section 4, always section 4. Okay? Workplace safety in regards to cleanliness. We always make sure that we wipe down the floors, that we're going to clean. We're going to always clean our toolboxes, not just wipe them down. We're going to clean. We're going to put our tools away. We're going to make sure it looks good because a clean work area is a productive work area, and you make your money based off of how much you can get done in an 8-hour time because you're paid by project, not by hour. So if you take one project and it takes you all 8 hours, and that project only paid you $20, man, that's 8 hours of just for $20. But if you can do that 20-hour or that $20 job in 10 minutes, that should have taken an hour, now you can stack and get some good money, okay? That's where mechanics make really good money is by being able to do piece rate. It takes time to get there, but you can do it, okay? The next thing is airbags. Something that I want you to be aware of because we will be working on the steering systems of vehicles where the steering wheel and airbag is. The airbag can deploy by static electricity, touching the wrong wires. Airbag wires are always yellow. High voltage wires are orange, okay? But airbags are deployed by a chemical or a pellet so that the chemical charge is kind of like a little model rocket that then discharges and then fires and launches the airbag, which then starts deploying before your head even gets close to it. That's how fast those things work. And we'll talk more about that in old car versus new car and how they would happen in a crash. Okay. Now this one's a little tricky. Okay. This is talking about fuel injection systems. This is really in depth, but we want to talk about it because of safety. Sometimes we will be working with the fuel injection, especially when we get to engine performance in this class. But the biggest thing is you don't want to disconnect a fuel injector while the vehicle's running, because obviously you're going to be fuel squirting at you. That could be running well over the 100 PSI. Okay. In addition to that, that could start a fire. That can then get fuel all over you, the car. Don't want that stuff. Okay. But the biggest thing, in addition to that, is when you disconnect it, you could get electrocuted because you're dealing with the electrics that fire the fuel injector. But the thing I wanted to mostly point out is this one right here. You can test the driving voltage of a PZO injector with a test light designed for normal port injected fuel injectors. No. The simple answer is no. Okay, we'll get into more details about that, but you cannot do that as a high voltage. It's a voltage situation and safety to the equipment that you can damage both the test light, the PZO injector, as well as catch on fire and various things. But that is a no. The rest of those things are yes. That is question 33, the last question. Okay, what do we do now? What is the big deal here? We're at the end of the test. I'm ready to close up for the day. I'm ready. What is the big button you got to push? You have to go to this one right here. You have to hit go back. If you don't hit the go back, that is nothing. I don't get it. Remember, go back or exit quiz is the same word as submit. So there we go. That's the review of the safety test. I want you guys to go ahead and work on this stuff. If you find that you've gotten through the test and you failed it, go ahead and email me right now. If I'm available, I will be able to reset it. If not, I will see it generally within a couple hours and reset it. And you can do it during flex. You can do it over the weekend because you need to get it done. The safety test is supposed to be done in 3 days. This is day 1 for you guys. Okay? Thank you so much. I'm sorry that I didn't get to join you guys on this part of the lesson, but this makes it a lot quicker, gets you right to the test. And you can come back to this if you have any questions on here and you're getting things wrong. Okay. In addition to this, I also have a PDF of the questions that you could, write, make an editable PDF and kind of write your thoughts on it and go back to the lessons and get them. Okay. Now, if you fail the safety test 5 times, you then have to go and do the safety lessons are required at that point. Okay, right now, they're not required if you can pass the safety test, because a lot of this stuff is very common sense knowledge that you learn throughout life. Like, don't put a fork in an outlet. You'll get hurt. All right, once again, thank you, and I will see you guys next week.